All right, welcome to Hoops Tracker. Jerry Howard, your host. Hoops Tracker, your source for Colorado basketball. We have a special guest today, Coach Tim at DU. Coach, welcome to the show. Welcome to Colorado. Congratulations on the new job.
Thank you, sir. I'm very happy. I mean, we're not fully situated yet, but we're getting there. But just I've seen myself smiling a lot, just walking around. You got the mountains everywhere. I know I'm in a great situation, so it's a big deal. I'm very happy with everything.
Yeah, it's not quite like Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota, the land of lakes, but you do have some lakes, but you have these things called mountains, and man, they're big. And you have quite a view, I'm pretty sure, from DU, looking at the Rocky Mountains and seeing and catching you on the trail. I know you've been, back and forth, running around, and we'll get into that a little bit, but for our viewers, just you know, Coach Tim played at St. Cloud, um, came from Minnesota State, right? Moorhead, and
Yep.
you had quite the record there. But Coach, talk a little bit about your coaching journey. You played at St. Cloud. That's where you started as a GA, but share with our audience a little bit more about your background and what pulled you into coaching. What was your degree? Um, just kind of just who is Tim, man?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when I was at college at St. Cloud State, I was more focused on basketball more than anything. I wasn't a great student, to be honest. So it's funny because now I'm sitting here head coach at a high academic school. Um,
Yep.
but um, I had my ACL tears. I had the three ACL tears, so that
Wow.
transitioned me into coaching. And I was going for a rec sports management degree, and I learned a lot in that aspect. And I just really love being around sports in general. But I wanted to come back and play after that third one, and then thankfully my coach saw life beyond basketball, and he gave me an opportunity to be a student assistant coach at St. Cloud State
Nice.
University. And that's when I really started to understand. And well, one, I'm just obsessed with basketball. I love it. I just knew it was,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point in my life. I had no clue, not even just professional. So I started coaching AAU. I was a student assistant. I quickly learned just how much goes into operating a program and what
Yeah.
goes into coaching a lot of these younger guys. I just think they believe that just coaching as you show up to practice and game day, and it's all fun and and peachy. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of operations that go into what we do. So that was a really big eye opener for me. But I learned a lot that year. Kevin Schlegel was the head coach there at St. Cloud State, Hall of Famer coach, and uh,
Yeah.
one of the most winningest coaches there in the university. So I picked his brain a lot. Then that transitioned me to coach at River Falls, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
the WIAC. I was there for 1 year, and that just makes you understand how good basketball is at any level. Like, I was
Mhm.
so glad that I was able to have that opportunity and experience, and I just understood how good the WIAC was and just how good basketball is everywhere. So
Yeah.
I was then on the hunt to. I knew that GA graduate assistant was that next step, and
Yeah.
I reached out to probably every single D2 in the nation, and I got nothing. And then I was going to stay at River Falls. I told my head coach at the time there that, hey, I'm planning to be here for another year. Literally the next day, I got a call from Minnesota State Moorhead, and
Nice.
we got that done. I had a great experience there for my 2 years. Won a lot of games, back-to-back championships, national tournament appearance. I was working for a guy named Chad Walthall.
Yeah.
Incredible coach, a big-time competitor.
Yeah.
Worked with a guy named Justin Wick as well. He's a really good head coach in the NSIC. So as a younger coach, I was very hungry and trying to, get into this field and understand how it is. Like, I was in such a good situation,
Yeah.
just winning situation. And then after those 2 years, I went to Quincy, Illinois. Didn't have we didn't have a great year that year, to be honest, but it just, again, I knew what I was coming from. We had a
Yeah.
great winning opportunity and experience there.
Mhm.
So it just makes you understand just like how hard winning is, no
Yeah.
matter where you're at. But after that, Quincy, I was there for 1 year, like I said, and then a position opened up at Minnesota State Moorhead to be an assistant. Was that for 3 years. Ended up winning some more championships, thankfully, and then the head coach decided he wanted to move on. Chad Walthall decided to retire from coaching, and then that's where I had an opportunity to step in as a head coach. And um, certain people thought that, at the time I should just assume the role right away.
Right.
There's a little bit of me like, hey, let's just get this done. But when I really
Yeah.
look back at it, I'm glad that they, in a way, put me through the ringer. I went through the interview process, and that allowed me an opportunity or the through those experiences, it helped me through my opportunity here at DU to try to
Yeah,
get the job. But we had a fun 3 years at MSUM. A lot of good players. My first year as head coach, we retained like our entire roster after the year. I believe that we were gonna be pretty good. So we did some special things. A lot of high quality people, high quality players making it to national tournaments, winning a couple championships. Um,
right.
so I mean, I'm always going to leave it to the players. I mean, they've allowed me to get to where I am right now. I'm not gonna. I fully understand it's not 100% me that got me to this
Yeah,
place. It's being at the right place, right time, right players, mentors. I mean, I've just been so fortunate, and now to be here at DU, it's I still like sit there and just shake my head, just to see where I was as a student assistant to where I'm at now as a
yeah.
mature, young and dumb coach. And now I'm still a little immature now, don't get me wrong, but
Uh-huh.
just to see how it's all unfolded, I'm just grateful, and I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm
Yeah.
just going to work extremely hard here and pour everything I have into this program to make sure we do what we can do.
Man, I know we are excited. I mean, 75 and 22 as a head coach, and your previous head coach, Chad, he had a way of turning programs around. What
Mhm.
did you really learn from Chad? Because being there for a while, coming back in, w- w- I guess, as you go through that coaching journey, right? There's certain key things that you learn from different mentors. What were the big things that you learned from Chad?
Yeah, well, with Walt, I mean, he's crazy.
Or
I'll just
well,
say
yeah.
that. There's no secret on that one. But him and I are very close of just like as competitors. I think we
Hmm.
align and we're right there together on that. I always told him I was like I would have loved playing for him because he's
Hmm.
nuts. But like you know when you're playing for a guy like that, he's gonna do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
Um, but just the biggest thing with him, and I've already said it just a couple times here talking to you, is just like winning is really hard.
Mm.
And I mean, he made me try. I've been fortunate to understand that, but when you really go through it, it's like he was winning at an extremely high level, like
Yeah.
stuff that's never been done before. And
Hmm.
back-to-back 30-win seasons. And unfortunately, I think some people kind of forgot about that, even when I got the head job. And
Hmm.
I'll make sure people don't, because he did some amazing things. And one of the biggest things, like I said, is just how much stuff goes into winning, how hard winning is. It's all about the details. All those little things are so important. And it might seem like just little minor things that it's like, really, are we really worrying about this kind of thing? But it's like, yeah, because it equates to winning. It's going to allow us the chance
Yeah.
to win or compete for a championship.
Yeah.
Um, and then just on the competitive side, just like playing hard, playing tough. So he was extremely organized in what he did.
Hmm.
Like if you walk into his office at any time, he always had papers all over his desk, and it looked like madness. But that's how him and I are the same too, because I would do that as well. But then it's like essentially then you break it down to one little sheet, then you're
Right.
organized in the end. But he was about all the things that I'm about of just toughness, being organized, appreciating what you have. Like we
Mhm.
he is just I think it was just a perfect match just to work with each other because he was about what I was about, and he didn't care about any of the accolades, all the buzz. Like, he was doing stuff that's never been done before, but he's
Mhm.
just all about just, showing up and working hard and don't worry about anything else. That's all, and then it all figure itself out in the end.
Well, it's crazy because Morehead State, before he got there, had won maybe 40% of their games. They really had never had a winning season
Yeah.
until he got there and flipped it around. And then you get the opportunity to step on that foundation and build upon it even more and
Hmm.
do some more great things. Man, that's great, coach. Talk about, I mean, as you come into a new program, right? I mean, you took one over and you took it over, I believe. Yeah, the portal had just begun. It wasn't like the portal was crazy like it is now. Um, but you take a program over, you build it, you bring in, you put your signature on it, your footprint. Talk about what you're going through right now with DU, because with the portal, it's like everybody gets an airplane ticket and they're out of there, and just a lot of things. But talk about, I mean, because a lot of people don't understand and don't know when you come into a program nowadays. I mean, sometimes you start from ground zero with a roster.
Hmm.
Talk about that experience and where we're going to be with DU next year and what that, how's that roster looking? Is it
Right.
complete? Just all the other, all those little details that, you got to have a team to coach, right?
Yeah, that definitely helps because my knees aren't going to play anymore.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like when I was at MSUM, like transitioning into a head coaching role, like I said before, like everybody stayed. All I had to bring in my first year as a head coach, I had to bring one guy in. And
Hmm.
I don't think you see that a lot, especially in today's landscape. So like I made sure I didn't take that for granted. And it obviously showed like we won a lot of games.
Yeah.
Um, but then like moving into this situation, and again, the portal's not going anywhere. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it or nothing because like you just got to know how to navigate through
Yeah.
it. And it's
Absolutely.
probably, people could say it's going to get worse. I don't think anything's slowing down by any means. So you
Hmm.
accept it and, find a way to use it to your advantage. And I
Hmm.
think you need to, like I said, accept it and just know how to navigate through it and know how to bring in a bunch of pieces, know how to assemble a roster. And then I think the kicker to that is getting all those pieces to play together.
Hmm.
So, for us right now, when I got the job, a lot of guys entered the portal, which,
Hmm.
I anticipated that was going to happen. There were some
Hmm.
conversations that we had, and then
Right.
essentially it came down to when we got our roster, depth chart all set, and I knew our plan of attack and filling spots, we had four guys on the team, at
Hmm.
that point, and thankfully I was able to bring four guys from MSUM with me. So that
Hmm.
helped a lot and made me a lot more comfortable in this transition, bringing in guys that know how I operate as a program. And even Spencer Bland, my associate head coach, that's
Hmm.
another guy that just made me comfortable in this transition.
Yeah.
So after that, we had to bring in eight more guys, if I remember, seven or eight more guys after that. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I really do. It's like, all right, tell me what we need to do. Tell me the spots we need to fill. Now let's go attack and hit the phones.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. Once we got our staff assembled with some high quality people, guys that are really good at their jobs,
Hmm.
we were hitting the phones hard. We had a lot of war room nights here and in my
Nice.
office here. We were here till about midnight, 1 o'clock, watching highlight tapes, and
Yeah.
but I could just tell it's just like we enjoy what we do. And
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of frustrating days. Don't get me wrong. Like you have some conversations, like really, we're talking about this kind of thing right now.
Man.
But those are the kind of guys that usually don't work out with how we're going to operate. But
Right.
how our roster is unfolded, on paper, I love it. I really do. There's always that poison of always wanting more. Um,
Hmm.
and but I'm just eager to see these guys compete now. I think we have a chance to be big and athletic. And when I'm looking top to bottom, I think we have a very, very competitive group.
Hmm.
Guys that really care about winning. They're going to play hard. They're going to play tough. Um,
Hmm.
but now one thing I've learned with transfers too, like we could sit here and think all this stuff, but
Hmm.
we'll never know until they're in on the gym.
Right.
You're in the gym.
Yep. Everybody gets there.
So that always looks good on a highlight tape. It's like, all right, let's see who you are as a competitor, as a teammate. How are
Hmm.
you with our system? How are you with the details and how we operate? All those little things you never find out until you get them in your practice. So
Yeah.
phase one is getting the roster assembled. We did that. I'm happy with that.
Hmm.
Now it's like, all right, let's get to work on the court. So I'm eager to get going. I had a good week back home with my family over the 4th. We have our first team meeting tomorrow. And they're gonna
Nice.
rock and roll from there. So we got a lot of stuff to do, but we're not gonna go crazy in the first couple weeks. Like we're just gonna understand like this is a long season. I'm big on preserving the bodies. There's a lot that we got to accomplish here, but there's gonna be a lot of teaching. I don't want to overcoach and overtalk, but we got a lot of things that we need to accomplish here as a group and just like a system based thing. We have so many new faces. We got to figure out and put these pieces together.
Well, and the culture, all the things, right? Bringing that team together, and this is what we're about. I mean, I love the blue collar ethic that you're bringing, and just the hard work and just the grind, and but knowing that, what kind of offense and defense are we going to be able to expect from Coach Tim and DU next year?
Yeah, it's obviously the cliche thing that, it's all about, personnel and figuring that out, which, there is a point to that.
Mhm.
But, my ideal system is so my associate head coach, Spencer Bland, he runs our entire offense. I don't step in too much, to be honest. But the biggest thing, like he knows how I want our team to play. but I just got so much trust in him to handle that for us. And I think that's allowed me to be a better coach and delegating that to him. But the biggest thing, numero one, is just taking care of the ball. Um, I preach possessions from day one. Possessions win basketball games. Every single one is so stinking important. I think a lot of guys get too loose with too many possessions, and that's when you're trying to
Right.
win those close games against good teams.
Right.
You don't value those possessions, you're not going to probably win them. So whether
Right.
it's just rebounding, turnovers, whatever the case might be, all that stuff is so important and vital to how we do things. So
Mhm.
those are the kind of things when we get loose, that's the type of stuff that really gets me edgy. Um,
Yeah.
but I like to we like to play fast, but I wouldn't say we're like just pushing the tempo like crazy. We kind of just whatever you give us, we're going to take it. We're going to play smart basketball. We're going to play together. I want a lot of people touching the ball. We like to play early in offense. A lot of drag ball screens, transition, and we'll have a handful of things outside of that. But I think what makes our offense more dangerous, on top of just taking care of the ball, is just being unpredictable. Like we love sets and actions. Don't get me wrong, but we like the quick hitting stuff. Getting the ball where it needs to go. There's times for isolations, but how can we set up an isolation with an advantage? We're going to have a lot of guys that can break people down, but we don't want to see one guy dribble a ball for 7 seconds trying to create a shot. That's just not how we're going to play by any means. So we believe that inside out play that's important. It might be guards posting up, might be bigs on the perimeter. I mean, like to play a little more unorthodox, but it's
Hmm.
we don't like to overcomplicate on the offensive side. We want guys playing with a lot of freedom, and I think that's what makes them a little more dangerous on the offensive side. So with what we have, I think we have a chance to be a pretty good shooting team and inside out team. So we'll figure that out here a little bit more as we go throughout this preseason, and then on the defensive side, that's kind of who I am to a core. Like, I love offense. I like scoring. Don't get me wrong. That's what the crowd really likes. But I'm a big guy on just the toughness aspect. We're going to care about playing defense. We're going to care about getting stops. We want to make people's life hard to score. We want to try to contest every shot that we can. But it's always going to come down to defense and rebounding. Yes, like it's always about possessions, like I said, taking care of the ball on offense. But it's like if we don't take care of the ball, our transition defense is going to go to crap. So
Yeah.
make sure we're not messing around with that. But I'm big on just low risk defense. I don't like to muck it up too much. I like to just keep it simple. I don't want our guys overthinking by any means. The
Hmm.
ultimate goal, like anybody would say, is just trying to keep that ball in front and forcing people into tough contested shots. And then
Yeah.
ultimately limiting their possessions and making it one and done and just grabbing that rebound. Then we can play out of that. So I've always told our guys, everybody wants to score. That's a fun part of the game. The fun part for me is
Right.
defense and rebounding. But
There you go.
if you want to score a lot of points and you want to run, all right, then let's get a
Mhm.
lot of stops, and then we'll have opportunity to do that. So
Right.
it's
No, that's great.
on both sides of the ball. Like I said, we try to keep it as simple as possible. I don't want our guys overthinking.
Yeah. No, I mean the Summit League is tough. I know it's been hard, but everything right now, recruiting is, I mean, that is a big part of building that team. What kind of player are you looking for? What's that player that you want that is Coach Tim's player? I mean, this is the prototypical player, depending on position or whatever, but what is it you're looking for in your offense and your defense
I mean, there
from
could be a
a recruiting
handful of
perspective?
things that you look at, but I guess the things that are so important to me, like, yeah,
Hmm.
like, is he talented enough? Okay, that's obviously a big factor. Can he play at this level? All right, let's really focus on that. But like the non-negotiables for us, and we try to gauge it as best we can. It helps to know people, but it's just like who they are as a person and their character. A lot of coaches probably talk about that, but it's hard to coach knuckleheads or like a group of knuckleheads. You might have one guy that brings a little baggage every once in a while, but if you surround him with high quality human beings, usually you could bring that guy into the right direction and get him to buy
Yeah.
into how we want to do things. But it's always going to start with character. It's going to start with academics. How are they going to be in the classroom? And then we
Hmm.
focus more on like, all right, who are they as a basketball player? Are they good enough to play at this level? And then that's when we decide like, all right, we want to offer this person. But
Hmm.
that's like our three main ones. But then it comes down to championship DNA. Like, do they really care about winning? Do they know what goes into winning? Are they really competitive? Or are they okay with giving up a rebound, giving up a defense assignment? Like those are the type of things like I'm really trying to focus on. But just who they
Hmm.
are as a competitor, just like are they true competitors? Are they true tough guys?
Right.
Because like I've said to a lot of people, and I'll say it a lot just moving forward, is there's a lot of front runners, there's a lot of fake tough guys, and there's a lot of people that tell you what you want to hear. So
Hmm.
you try to just navigate through that, navigate around that. I think the more you can watch them in person, the more you connect to people around them, I think you could get to that point.
Right.
But in the end, like we just want guys that are just like tough SOBs. Like people who know me, I'm a nasty competitor. I was a very different player. Like I was a very physical guy. I was a guy
Hmm.
that was first to the floor. Like I need those kind of guys in this program. That's just everybody has a different way of going through things, but I just feel like if you're soft and there's guys are soft sometimes. That's just part of it. And there's a limited or a smaller percentage where you could turn a soft guy into a tough guy,
Yeah.
depending on who they are. But
Hmm.
like if you're not like a true tough guy competitor,
Hmm.
you're just probably not going to last in our program. Because,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying like I'm not a demeaning coach or nothing. Like I love my guys. I'm gonna coach them
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Just like how we play. Like if you're not tough, you're just not gonna make it. And you kind of you stick out, to be honest. Like how we've operated as a program, we're gonna have a lot of guys with that mindset. So if you're not gonna be about all those little things, you're gonna stick out, and you're just it's not gonna work out. So
Yeah.
usually we've always said to people, like, you usually find your way out of our program if
Uh-huh.
you're not going to buy into those things. And that could be hard for some guys. So in the end, I just want, like I said, the toughness, the competitors, character, um, and then just guys that are obsessed with basketball.
Nice.
You just tell like, all right, this dude's just a gym rat and just always in the
Hmm.
gym, loves weights, like the
Hmm.
guys that aren't obsessed with this stuff. And I don't want to say, balance is important, but hey man, like I love what I do, and you could throw balance outside the door sometimes. I want guys that are absolutely obsessed with this game and do whatever it takes to win.
Nice. Now let's, I mean, like for guards, I mean, you need athletic. What's kind of a prototypical guard in your system? Is it 6'5"? Is it 6'3"? I mean, where and how athletic, how they distribute, basketball IQ, what makes it roll for you? I'm small, right? I mean, we've met. I'm 5'8", man. I
Yeah,
want to battle with
scrappy,
coach. I'm
scrappy guy.
there,
Yeah,
but what is it that, do you guys look at some of the stats, like their vertical jump stats, some of their other things, their other intangibles to help you get to know that player, um, other than watching them in the gym? I mean, what is key for to be an athlete at your level?
yeah. Like those things you explained, like I think those are cool to hear about. Like what's their wingspan or what's their vertical, and
Sure.
that's the stuff that's make or break for me. I just think it kind of adds like maybe a little bit of interest level.
Hmm.
But for guards, for me, like regardless of what the position is, I'm always trying to be as big as possible, athletic and mobile. And
Hmm.
I like guys that can shake and move.
Hmm.
So I have an acronym, but it's a terrible acronym. It's ASS. We'll just say that. But I I like athletic, shaky shooters. That's what I like. So the size part, if you're gonna be like a 6 foot guard, like you better be scrappy and tough as nails.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, you're going to get, ripped apart. And I've had a lot of great all league guards before that they're just tough as can be. So it didn't really matter. But guys that can, I've appreciated IQ more the older I get in this stuff.
Hmm.
Guys that just know how to play. Yes, we'll teach our system and all that, but you can just tell, like, all right, that guy just knows how to play basketball, great read of the floor. Uh,
Hmm.
Essentially, I want if my perfect system, and it's not always like it every single year, but if I
Hmm.
can have my 1, 2, and 3 guards
Hmm.
able to facilitate in a ball screen like they're a point guard, that's when I think we're at our best. They're some of our best teams, our wing or our three man, he's been involved in a middle ball screen more than our point guard. So if we can have multiple guys being able to do that, I think that makes you a pretty dang good offensive team. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense. But I don't like I like dead three guys who everybody likes guys that can shoot the three. But personally, I don't just love guys that are strictly just shooting three guys. I like guys that can do a little bit off the floor. They could create for themselves. It's a lack of a better word, but I like guys that just know how to hoop. I want
Yeah.
there's
No,
time
that's
there's times I'm just like, hey man, go take this ball and go do something with it. And I like guys that could do stuff in space. And
hmm
I don't want that to come off again like we're an ISO team by any means. There's times for it. We'll do it. We think we have a
sure.
mismatch or someone's feeling themselves.
Right.
But I think when we're creating advantages for each other
Yeah.
throughout every shot clock, when you
Hmm.
have a guy that's really good at creating for himself with an advantage,
Hmm.
that's when you can really pick teams apart, in my opinion. So we're always looking for the size, the IQ, the athleticism, the quickness, the shiftiness. Those
Hmm.
are the things that I'm looking at. If I see a guys like stiff, that those are the kind of guys I just like, yeah, they kind of
Not gonna.
all down the list on my end at least.
Yeah.
Like we all for guards especially like guys that could fill it up.
Yeah, well, and like fours and fives. I mean, you talked about you like bigs. You want them big, but you also want them scrappy. You want them
Mhm.
strong. You want them to be able to handle themselves in the paint. But you and I both know that some of these 18, 19-year-old young men coming out of high school haven't been in the weight room as much as they need to be and need to develop those bodies. I mean,
Right. Well,
so
even for our fours and our fives, like some people hate the word forward. Like they
yeah,
don't want to be labeled as a forward, you know, and
right.
for how we play, like we're not traditionally like a too big team. And
Yeah,
again, there's certain scenarios like just who we are. Yeah, I'm not afraid of doing it.
right.
We just got to be able to guard and rebound in the end. But with our fours, like we've sold it of just like our fours are like guards.
Hmm.
So like they just need to be tough enough to defend and rebound. But I don't want people thinking in our system when we recruit them that like our fours are more of like those guys that like we hope they could shoot. Like for how we play, we want to space those guys out. They're gonna manipulate ball screens, random ball screens, slips, flips, pick and pops, whatever it might be. And then when it comes to our fives, like I'm big on, like I've already said many times, like just the mobility and the athleticism. I don't personally, everybody's different. I don't like the big old guys that can't move and they're strictly just running block to block and doing nothing else.
Right.
And I know there's some guys that are really, really good at that and they win a lot of games, but for how we play, I like guys that can run the floor, they can manipulate ball screens, playing out of a short roll. If they can, shoot a catch and shoot three, that's awesome. If they just even shoot one or two threes, I think that spreads our offense out a little bit. Um, but we're really based on personnel. For me as like a big guy,
Yeah.
I would love bigs. I'd be like, all right, get your tail to the block and let's get you the ball down there. And this last year we had a 7-1 center at MSUM, and there was a couple times this year where I absolutely erupted on our team for not getting him the dang ball. It's like if we
Yeah.
got a good enough player down there, they need to get the ball. And
Yeah.
like I've already said before too, I like getting our guards on the block as well. So I like to be big, and we'll have 6'6", 6'7", two guards or some wings sometimes. It's like if they're really good with their back to basket on the block, and you see a lot more in today's game. A lot of
Hmm.
people love the Barkley stuff, the driving to post, from the
Right.
perimeter. It's very prevalent in the NBA and now to college. So we just want to be multidimensional. A lot of guys with skill and mobility. I think that's really allowed our offense to be as effective as it has been.
Now, one thing that's pretty awesome about DU, you guys actually have some pretty phenomenal facilities. I've been in your weight room. I've been down below underneath the gym and stuff like that. It is pretty impressive what you have, and I think you're going to be able to recruit really well here, especially with the education you get at DU, and things like that.
Hmm.
Coach, this is great. Coach, just want to make sure, right? How do we properly pronounce your last name? Because I want to make sure we get this right.
Yeah, Bergstraser.
Bergstrasser. I
Yeah,
love it.
a lot of
This
people just call me Coach Berg. That's kind of the go-to because then they always mumble and jumble the last name. So,
nice.
German.
No, that's great. Coach, we're really excited to see you put together things, see you on the circuit. Man, it was great meeting you 2 weeks ago at the Colorado Live Showcase, and then being able to have you on our show. We're going to definitely be watching, and we'll be down in the gym. Looking forward to it, Coach. Thanks for coming on our show.
Likewise, don't hesitate to come say hi when you get into good old Hamilton, man. Come say what up.
Hey, we'll be there. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.